water filters, and this is really more of a presentation on water than it is on filters, but we'll get to that in a second. I'm your host, Adam Reese. If you heard the first try at this with Charlotte here, that was interesting, but anyway, that didn't work very well. Anyway, so what we're going to explore are a few different topics, and really this is personal choice and questions to explore for yourself. But is filtering water worth it? Obviously, what's in the water that you are drinking, and then how much of the unknowns are there going into the body from water. So anyway, what got us here? Well, this post. I took a deep dive into water a few months ago, and did a ton of research on different filters and what would be best. And really, I posted this and then asked if anybody wanted, more information. A bunch of people reached out, so this is that more information. So we're just going to go through a few different perspectives from this post. And if I'm trying to persuade anyone of anything, is to live the life that you want. And from my perspective, we're all better able to have that life if we have better health. So whichever your main priority, time, relationships, money, they all seem enhanced by health. So it seems like the one non-negotiable to make a priority. And anyway, why filter? Well, before we get into that, because I'm getting ahead of myself, we're going to use two different decision-making processes. One is the alternative, the other is the math. And the math is, it looks complicated, but it's not. You have your features on the left, you have your options on the top, and then you use a scale of -5 to +5, with 0 being indifferent, to give each, and you score each feature, and then you add them up to figure out which one is the best option for you. So if you were picking a car, features might be heated seats, sunroof, the color of the car, the price of the car, four-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, that kind of thing. And those would go in your feature section based on the priorities that you set that you want the car to have. And then the options would be the different cars that you find that tick all those boxes, and then you give them a score. So if it doesn't have a sunroof, maybe you get it a 0. If it doesn't have, if the sunroof isn't a huge priority. If it's a huge priority, then it's a -5, or because it doesn't have it. And then you would score you would add these all up. And if you just do it in Excel, it's not that hard. But anyway, if you look at option 7, that obviously got the lowest score. And if you look at option 8, that actually got the highest score. So that one, number 8, would be the one that you would choose, and you would definitely stay away from option 7. Now the alternative is you just ask the alternative of the two options that you do have. So if we're looking at exercise, we would say, what's the alternative to not exercising regularly? Wasting away. What is that the alternative that you want? What's the alternative? And it's just a way to make decisions. So as far as why filter, some of the things that we're going to go over, metals, the pros and cons, fluoride, pros and cons, municipalities, taste, pharmaceuticals. I realize that's like, wait, what? Glyphosate, microplastics, tampering, and at the end, we'll cover the actual types of filters that you can use and what they filter and what they don't filter, and I'll give some perspectives there. But some things just kind of make good sense, like taking supplements would be one of those. Are they absolutely necessary? No. Is it kind of nonsense if they're being used to replace poor nutritional choices? Yeah, obviously. Are they an inexpensive way to help our health from preventative and active perspectives? Yeah. One thing to consider is, would we need testing to know which to take? I mean, it would help. Is it absolutely necessary though? To take some supplement without testing. If you're not having huge issues and you're generally healthy, there's maybe a handful of supplements worth taking each day that'll help. You could take a multivitamin, fish oil, vitamin D. Just those 3, extremely inexpensive, extremely good for you. You could add creatine, you could add a CoQ10. Maybe you have a zinc and a magnesium at night, depending on the magnesium. anyway, they just kind of make good sense, right? So water and food kind of seem similar to me. Exercise seems similar to me. So we didn't do any $100 tests on our water before deciding on the filtration process. We just asked which system would work best. So that's really all we're going to work through here. But I'll go through some of the things that led to having the filter in the first place. Because there are substances in the water that we may or may not want. And that kind of forms the basis of the decision. But a lot of this comes back to self-responsibility and the barrier of entry, meaning price to have some of these filters is fairly low. I mean, it's not inconsequential, but it's fairly low. Just something to take into consideration because it matters. Now, let's get into it. So I'm lumping metals, minerals, and micronutrients all into one here because they're going to get filtered out in the same swoop. So, but this one does carry kind of a comical. It's kind of a head shaker. People will say that they're concerned with filters because it'll filter out all the good stuff that is in the water. And this was actually a thing in the 90s when the bottled water craze started. And people said that kids were having teeth issues because they weren't getting the calcium from the tap water because it was not in the bottled water. Now, I don't know. I never heard of anybody having teeth issues. I think it was just some nonsense that people made up that turned it kind of into like a rumor spreads. But there are some minerals, some micronutrients, and some metals that are in tap water that might be good for us. And I have heard this many times where really smart people will say that if you drink water that is put through a reverse osmosis filter, eventually it will deplete your body of nutrients. Now, the hilarious part of that is that if you're getting a significant amount of your daily minerals from, or your daily micronutrients from tap water, then you have bigger problems in your water because this significant amount of your nutrients should be coming from your food, not from your water. I mean, that should kind of basically just be a no-brainer. But it is kind of hilarious that the level of intellectual laziness that goes along with thinking that little thing through. All right, fluoride. This is, now take a breath for a second. Try to avoid immediate assumptions. Because this is kind of, for some reason, I think this is so silly. Why is this a polarizing topic? I have no idea, but people get so mad at you when you ask questions. Certain topics, if you ask questions on them, people get so mad. And, you know, when you're as curious as me, sometimes you get responses like, do you know how stupid you sound? But to me, not asking a question because you're afraid to look stupid is far more stupid than asking a question. And like, I'm an extremely curious person. I ask questions all day, every day, all the time. And I can for as long as I can remember. So I'm going to ask the question, but it seems silly that this would be a polarizing topic. Now, if you ask the question of is fluoride safe or is it not safe? We can set that aside for a second. What I'll start with is almost no one, basically no one, takes issue with fluoride as a topical agent. So just using it on your teeth like toothpaste and then spitting it out. It's like almost no one. However, there's a significant amount of research that brings to question the effect of fluoride. It at least brings to question the effect of fluoride on the body when ingested. Emphasis on when ingested. So when you drink water or drink, like if you were to just eat your toothpaste, you know, it's just a lot of fluoride going into you. So topical agent safe, almost everybody agrees upon. Ingesting it, at least questionable. So if basically no one objects to the topical use of fluoride, but a bunch of people object to its ingestion, then why don't we eliminate the ingestion and just use it topically? So this is one of the things that the blowback on reverse osmosis and really getting like super clean water is that you'll take the fluoride out of it too. But I don't see the problem there if you're getting fluoride from your toothpaste or from, you know, a lot of mouthwashes have fluoride too, if you were wanting that extra fluoride. But it's fine if you think it's safe. It's also fine for someone else to think it's harmful. The ground that both can stand on in full agreement is its topical use. Therefore, why wouldn't we meet on that common ground? You know, contrary to popular belief and most polarizing topics, you can find common ground. And like, for instance, with the gun debate, I'm not here to tell you which way to think. The pro-gun side wants kids to be safe. The anti-gun side wants kids to be safe. That's the common ground. See what I mean? That's an extremely polarizing topic where you can find common ground. The common ground is everyone wants kids to be safe. The environmental debate is the same. It's an extremely polarizing topic for some reason. However, everybody wants clean water, clean food, and clean air. Both sides, that's your common ground. So start there and then move out. Same thing with the fluoride. Everybody wants healthy teeth, pretty smiles. It's cool. That's your common ground. You can move out from there. It doesn't have to be a polarizing topic, but that's my analysis of fluoride. Whether it's safe or not, you can use it as a topical agent. You don't have to ingest it. Municipalities, water treatment. Really, this topic is about bleach, and we're just going to use the alternative. What's the alternative? If you had the choice. So, if you had 2 glasses of water in front of you, and one has 1 drop, has been treated with bleach, and the other one hasn't, and all things the same, which one are you choosing? You're probably going to choose the one without the bleach. So, there's your way to make the decision. But I don't know if I want low levels of bleach going into my body or not on a daily basis. Is it harmless? Maybe. Is it low grade, harmful over time? Both are a bit, tough to falsify. We would need long-term controlled studies comparing the 2 demographics. And I think like anybody who does, these studies on humans, the variability in lifestyle amongst humans is so heavy that it must be extremely difficult to do that research. But anyway, that's a perspective on water treatment. Taste, it's something to think about. If your water tastes terrible, do you want it to taste better? You could use a filter. And again, if you had the choice, which one would you pick? The one that you don't like, or the one that you do, or the one you like, that you hate the taste of, or the one that you can stand? Pharmaceuticals is something to consider, and this is no judgment on people who are on prescription medication. It's just so many people are on medications at this point in time that the water treatment plants can't filter out all of the medications. So, but like 1 out of 5 people are on an SSRI. The average American takes 5 medications per day. And that's the average. So that means for all the people that are taking 0, there's people on the other end of the spectrum that are taking way more than 5. And then, birth control is another one. And like birth control gets into your endocrine system, and it is not getting filtered out, and it's having detrimental effects on males of all ages and young females especially. This is like young females getting their periods at like 5 and 6 years old. Males not producing testosterone in amounts that let them become and grow. And anyway, it's a problem. Anyway, back to the responsibility standpoint, if you had the choice and if you could filter out some of these a little bit better with a system of your own, would you do so? That's a question for you to explore. Glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup. It is now in the aquifer. By the way, I had no idea how to spell aquifer before I did this. So I did definitely not spell it like it's actually spelled when I did this write-up initially. But anyway, this could sound like conspiracy stuff. When a lot of this stuff, if you go down these rabbit holes, like you end up talking to some very interesting people. Now, not that they're wrong. I mean, like it's just weirdos give you a lot of great perspectives because they're not normal by definition. Anyway, if you do a quick search engine on glyphosate, you would come up with has no harm to you. But it doesn't it seem a little weird? And I go back to just making it very easy, not even getting into all the silliness, but if you had the choice, you have 2 glasses of water sitting in front of you, one has a drop of glyphosate in it and one doesn't, which one are you going to drink? I'm going to drink the one without the glyphosate, and I bet you are too. See how easy that makes your decision? Just so much more simple. All right, microplastics. Who knows how this is going to play out? I'm very curious. We're not going to know for another like maybe 20 to 80 years because there's just not enough data can be collected because plastics haven't been used for that long. Um, but it does look like plastics are having an effect on the endocrine system, and they are getting lodged in the body. And I have a difficult time imagining that this is a positive on health. By the way, microplastics for the most part, I'm not saying never use a plastic container ever again or anything like that, but anything that you heat food or water in that is plastic is going to you're going to get a ton of extra microplastics. So any water that was heated, think of bottled water on the back of a truck on a hot sunny day, just sitting there and taking that heat. And then you put it in your fridge, and then it cools down, and then you drink it. It already had that plastic escape into it. And the BPA thing that happened a few years ago, where everybody's like, "Oh, well, now it's BPA free because BPA is bad." Well, a lot of BPA got replaced with BPS, and BPS is actually way worse for you than BPA. So you're probably not getting away from it. So it's probably best to work towards something like glass or using steel containers. And it's just everywhere. But I do encourage you. So like one of the places I found it was in our our countertop kettle. The spout had plastic that you would pour the boiled water through. Like that's an spot that you might not have ever thought of. And anyway, that's an easy way to get microplastics into your body. Microplastics are going to be in tap water because of the number of tubes. It can't be filtered out, or not that it can't be, but it's not going to be all filtered out. Whereas an extra filter, especially like a reverse osmosis filter, is going to get a lot of the microplastics. A lot. That's such a great number. But anyway, again, it seems to be that it's not going to be so great for your endocrine system, and I have a hard time imagining that it's a positive on health. All right, tampering. This is just like trust and responsibility. So how much do you trust the public entity that's cleaning your water? I don't know. That's up to you. But I'd just rather take as much responsibility of my circumstance as possible. So, all right, so that's some perspectives on water. These are the types of filters. So you basically have the type that can fit to they attach to your faucet. You have gravity ones too. You fill up a container and then it kind of drips through. And then you have the reverse osmosis ones that are a little bit, more intense. So I'm getting ahead of myself. So the faucet attachment won't remove fluoride. It does improve taste, and it's not great at filtering out particles, but it seems to do okay. The gravity ones won't remove fluoride. It does improve taste, and it does a decent job of filtering out particles. The reverse osmosis is definitely the most thorough filter for removal of particles, fluoride, and taste. So, and just anecdotally, we've used all of these, and the one for taste-wise, just taste. We noticed quite a bit of a difference when we went to a gravity filter, but we noticed a huge difference when we went to reverse osmosis. Which type of reverse osmosis did we walk through? So there's different kinds. There's tabletops, there's under the sink with a tank, there's under the sink without a tank, and then there's ones that are tied directly into your water system that can be fed to different like specific faucets, or like we had got a quote from somebody who was going to the sink and to the your fridge where you get the water, to that thing. Or you could just do your whole house. The whole house is pretty expensive. I think I think it kind of depends on like the house, obviously, but I saw estimates anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000. For reverse osmosis tied directly into your water system, that was more like $2,500 to $3,500. And then the under the sink tankless, that was like anywhere from like $100 to $600 depending. Same thing with the sink with the tank. The tabletop was kind of actually more expensive. That was like $200 to $500 to $200 to $600, something like that. It's been a little while since I looked these all up, but it kind of surprised me on price. Anyway, what did we go with? We went with this SimPure TI 400 or T1 400. I'll put a link in the post, but it seems to be doing well. Anyway, we used this to make the decision on. It was a bunch of different options. But this one doesn't have a tank, so it fits under. It doesn't take up a lot of room under your sink. Also, I didn't want to go with the tabletop one because that just takes up real estate on your countertop. So we went the tankless under the sink. And also, one of the things that was kind of sneaky was the number of filters and how often you were going to have to exchange your filters. Now, so some of these look less expensive up front, but they end up costing you more with ongoing charges with your filter. So it's kind of sneaky. So anyway, all I'm saying is the SimPure didn't win every single feature, but overall in the aggregate, it was like number 8 on this chart, and it turned out to be the best one. But anyway, these are some perspectives on water and water filters. I hope you got something out of this. If you have more questions, just write them down below. I'm happy to answer them, or you can send me a direct message. But anyway, hope this was helpful. Thanks, guys.